Welcome to the podcast, Eye for Talent, the show where we have an eye for talent. I'm your host, Dylan, aka DJ Cereal Sauce. I'm a YouTube content creator, sort of Twitch streamer, producer, and like maybe a couple of other things. It usually doesn't go past 4, but I always feel like it does, regardless of the fact. This isn't about me. This is about my wonderful guest, Dumpster Man, aka what I've just been calling him Man of Dumpster because I'm a fucking dweeb. He is also a YouTube content creator and also a Twitch streamer, but significantly more consistent than I am. And one of the most left field things that anybody who follows this man will know, he's also a guitar player. So welcome on, Dumpster Man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. You know, it's funny the way you started that off by kind of listing both your titles and my titles. It's like being a content creator, you kind of just collect those. Like, you know, Man of Dumpster, Dumpter, like a DM. I can't believe how many different things I've been called, honestly. Yeah. None of them brought on by myself, really, other than just that I arbitrarily chose this stupid name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the people who I've talked to who have had like the most amount of potential weird usernames that people have given them, that some align with their actual online tag and others are completely nonsensical and don't have anything to do with their online tag. And probably,
I mean, I sometimes I look through my past like Steam aliases because that's where you can like actually go back and see all of them.
Yeah.
And I used to change them on like a weekly basis, like, you know, some inside joke that I found funny that week. But then, yeah, for, I don't know, probably over 5 years now at this point, Dumpster Man has just stuck even before I was doing content. So it is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you don't really choose your name.
Yeah, people choose it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Steam username thing specifically because, yeah, that was a really bad habit that I fell into for a while, but it was because my friend group and I would play CSGO a lot as a group, and none of us were good, but that doesn't matter. And so there'd be like 4 or 5 of us, and we would all change our names to be either something that kind of was, you know, correlated with each other, or just something entirely nonsensical. Yeah. And so I just went through my Steam profile names, and it's like, all right, DJ Cereal Sauce, cool. Squeaky Jaw, and that was because I did have a moment where my jaw would squeak if I yawned for too hard. Wow. Engineer T2F. What Obama last name? Spider-Man Eat Onion Ring and Quagmire.
Oh my god!
Which I suppose.
Yeah, that's a nice thing about Counter-Strike just being linked directly to Steam is that like you can change your name whenever you want, and it just applies to that. Because my like competitive FPS drug of choice was Rainbow Six Siege,
right?
And Ubisoft only let you change your name once every like 60 days or something like that. So that it didn't have the same like group joke potential. I know that was one of the first games that I used the alias Dumpster Man on, and one of my friends went by Croissant Boy, and it actually wasn't related in any way. He just had Carl Weezer from Jimmy Neutron as his like profile picture, and
he's like, yeah, this makes sense.
Says, Croissant, and so that was the whole story. But we always got lumped together like a shitty superhero duo or something.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the beginning of it. That was kind of just how it stuck.
Oh, no, that's awesome. Man, that's crazy. With such an interesting name as Dumpster Man, you'd think that one of my questions here would have been, how did you come up with your name? But honestly, a part of me kind of has given up on doing that because whenever I ask somebody how they came up with their name, it's always like I bring this guy up a lot. I've interviewed a guy, his name is Frost, and I was like, well, his YouTube tag is The Other Frost, and I was like, hey man, how'd you come up with your name? And he was like, well, I played Call of Duty, and I really like the blue camos. I'm like,
oh, that's it.
I'm like, okay.
See, and here I thought you were gonna say like, oh, there was already a Frost.
Well, yeah, well, that was the part of it. Is he was like, I wanted to do Frost, but Frost everywhere was taken, so I did The Other Frost, and I was like, but I'm always the main impetus behind it was I liked the blue camos.
Yeah, I mean, hey, whatever works.
Yeah. I mean,
I always would ask people back to Rainbow Six Siege, because apparently this is just going to keep relating back to that. On that game, you know, they didn't allow you like Steam to have a duplicate username. So all the time you would see people just with like numbers on the end.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was some ridiculously high number, like, you know, 6,000 or whatever. And we would always ask them if like 1 through 5,999 were taken.
Yeah.
But that is the other side of my username, the TTV that I have to slap on the end. That's because apparently like 6 years ago, some guy on Twitch streamed World of Warcraft one time under the username Dumpster Man.
What a bastard.
And forever will own that. So I'm stuck with. I want to shorten it again to just be like Dumpster Man TV or something, but I just haven't pulled the trigger on it because I got to change my graphics and stuff. Then
Yeah, you have to like fix everything about your brand, and you're like, that's
literally
tiresome.
everything. Yeah, I have to go through every old video and make sure the link works. And yeah, no, it just doesn't sound worth it. Someday though,
Yeah,
someday I will.
You're like, when I like
actually, I shouldn't
6
say
free
this
hours.
because someone's gonna go camp it. Someone's gonna go be like, oh, he wants that username. I'm gonna go take that.
Yeah, well, hopefully, if I can pull these podcast analytics, I can say it's one of you MFers. But
yeah, no, trace it back to the exact person.
Yeah, I'm like, all right. So I was like, I'm like 65% of my viewer base is in Vietnam or something. It's not, but let's pretend it is. I go there, and then I'm like, all right, let's narrow it down to like the X amount of people who are watching it. All right, now let me just. I'm not gonna even joke about threatening to dox somebody. That's not. I only have one more tangent.
Stop you right there.
I only have one more tangent before moving on to the actual meat of the show. I'm glad you mentioned that somebody streaming World of Warcraft 6 years ago stole your username, and so now you're where you're at. Because there's a streamer that I watch that, what was the situation? So he wanted to make his tag in a game like his Twitch name, but he couldn't because it was already taken by a previous account of his, of which he is now entirely locked out of and can't access. And so he's like,
oh yeah,
he's like, it's so frustrating knowing that I do technically own the username, just not on this account that I do stuff on.
Yeah, this sounds so familiar that it's almost definitely happened to me before. Just in I'm 29 years old, so I've been on the internet for a long time. There must be so many websites that I signed up for 10 years ago and forgot about.
Yeah, and then you had to go back and you're like, what do you mean someone stole Dumpster Man? You're like, wait, that might have been me.
Yeah. Yeah, not 10 years ago, at least for Dumpster Man, but like sometimes I like put in an old email address and I'm like, wait, I already have an account? What?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. Thank God I have a creative enough username that no one will steal it. Now that I say that,
I like your username, by the way. It took me a second because I think when I first watched one of your videos, it was produced by Milk, I think.
Yeah, that was the old name, yeah.
Okay. But then I saw you changed it to DJ Cereal Sauce, and I was like, who is DJ Cereal Sauce? And it took me a second. I was like, that's
that
good.
Guy.
That's good.
Yeah, that was actually the name of my alt account, and I swapped it around because after the success of the ULTRAKILL video that I made, I was like, if I want people to find me, the name produced by Milk, while it is better than what my last tag was, which was just Milk, but it had an uppercase K in it, you still can't fucking find that. Like, if you were to search that, it would just be like, here's videos of dairy farms. I'm like, piss off. So I just switched it around.
You're getting like how it's made episodes and stuff like that.
Quite literally, yeah. I'm pretty sure that is at least one of them in the fray of things.
Yep.
So yeah, now I'm at where I'm at. But regardless, let's see. I'm glad you mentioned Rainbow Six because surprisingly, one of the questions on here does pertain to it because I did that much sifting through your videos because
you went all the way back. Yeah.
So the first question is just like, what interested you in making YouTube videos in the first place?
So it goes back even farther than Rainbow Six Siege, but my like previous online presence has been erased through no fault of my own. I used to make Minecraft videos, actually, believe it or not,
as did all of us,
in, like, high school. Yeah, everyone did. But I had a video on that channel actually that had like, I think it was like 1 million views, like straight up.
Dang.
And I had, which is more than any video I've put out under my current online existence has. And the channel only ever had maybe like 1,000 subs, but 1,000 subs back in like 2013 was a lot different than 1,000 subs today.
Yeah.
When you could just like, milk shorts and stuff like that. But yeah, I was never like super serious about it, but I was on the come up of Minecraft and I just had a successful video. And I just kind of wrote it for a bit and just had fun with it. And then I went to college and was like, I'm not going to sit in my dorm room with my roommate and make Minecraft videos. And so I just kind of fell off of it. And I think back then it was still kind of the Wild West with like copyright stuff, but I used to just use whatever music I wanted in the videos. And I think I just got dinged enough times on copyright that eventually the channel just got taken down. And it was down for long enough that I just didn't notice. I was busy with something else. And then when I went to log in again, I was like, wait, where are all my videos? Where did everything go? And I just couldn't recover it. So it's kind of a bummer now because I'm like, I would love to go back and like see that stuff and like see what I was working on and see what I was thinking about in terms of like the content I was making and stuff like that.
Right?
But I do think I probably saved myself from some like retroactive cringe as well. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
retroactive cringe is a fantastic way of describing that. I'll get into that in a
yeah,
second.
yeah. I guess like I am glad that I got to kind of like have a fresh start with it because I kind of just went through like all of college and then in my last year of college into like my first year of just like working full time, I was playing like in my free time a lot of Rainbow Six Siege with my friends, and it just felt natural to like be like, okay, like this is, we're having lots of funny moments in this game, and like I have all these ideas, and I just started making videos for nobody in particular.
Just because you were
And
like, we're talented enough, quote unquote talented.
No, it wasn't even that. It was more just like I had these like funny moments that I would clip like just with OBS, or I think even early on I was just using like NVIDIA Shadow Play.
Yeah.
And I would just throw them into a video and share them with my friends. And it would just be like fun to like look back on like, oh yeah, remember when that happened? Yeah. So it wasn't even like made for an audience, really. It was just kind of like
The audience was
an
your
easy
friends,
way to like,
basically.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And then I did eventually start like upping the production quality of them a bit, if you will. I got a new mic and stuff like that. Ditched the old Blue Yeti, and the rest is history, I guess. I would say that if it was like next thing you know, I was a big Rainbow Six content creator. That is not what happened at all.
Nope.
I just continued making the videos for like 2 years before anything happened. And a lot of the really old ones I've just canned from the channel at this point. I think if you go back all the way to like the most recent, or I'm sorry, the oldest public video of me playing Siege, it's probably still like a year on from like the actual earliest one that I posted. So, but yeah, there was like, it hit a point where I was like, this video is not like meant for public consumption. It is way too meandering, long, and just full of inside jokes that nobody will get.
Yeah.
So I just had to draw a line in the sand somewhere and be like, all right, this is my first good video that I'm okay with people watching.
Yeah. That's actually wow. The idea of this is my first good video is crazy because I've
Good being relative.
yeah, well good is relative, but also it's like I don't know. You always think that you get to like a certain age of sensibilities, and I say this coming from I'm only 23, but I say this like
Yeah.
thinking that every time I go through a new phase of making videos, because I've like also the channel that you've seen these videos on that I'm like for myself has gone through 4 or 5 different names just by accident until I officially landed on a name that I wanted to keep, and it's also gone through 4 or 5 different styles as well. So like I started by making like keep in mind when you started YouTube videos is I mean I'm not going to say it was around the time that I started videos, but it was probably pretty damn close. And so you have to think I was 14 or 15 when I was making them.
Yeah.
And didn't really have anything. I had a laptop, and the laptop had a microphone. And
Dude, my first Minecraft videos on my old channel were recorded, I kid you not, on my laptop with a Rock Band mic, like Rock Band the video
boy,
game.
ain't no fucking way. Hold up.
So that was just the only like USB microphone I had, and the alternative was laptop mic, which was just a non-starter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would set the Rock Band mic on my desk, and I would record like that. I can't believe it now, having like a real big boy microphone and a mic arm and multiple monitors and stuff like that. Like when I think back to where I started, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's yeah, we all have humble beginnings, I suppose is the best way to describe it. But yeah, at some point you draw a line in the sand, and I even had a point once in a video that I made, which was really more of me addressing people, saying, hey, the last videos that I made, they took so long because I was doing other things, but also the videos that I was making right before I made that video were like making fun of guys who think that the friend zone is real, and talking about how your like work is like stealing your money, functionally speaking. And I was like, I can't make videos on that. I can't make that entertaining. So I left for 9 months and then came back and then was like, now I can make videos that I'm happy with, and now I've actually fallen into my own niche, and now I'm actually happy. So it's really
it's funny. It's funny you say that though, because that like style of video is weirdly like very popular, like the commentary bro like type thing, like where it's just a dude talking about a thing. I never really like, at least in modern YouTube, I never really understood it.
Yeah, same.
But I guess when I think back, like back in the day, like my introduction to YouTube was like Call of Duty commentaries, which was just that. It was
Yeah,
just guys playing Call of Duty and like talking about random shit.
exactly.
And to this day, I think back very fondly on that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I learned some valuable life lessons from Hutch and C Nanners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's sometimes it doesn't matter the package it comes in, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I just tend to think I look at myself and I was like, I don't know if I'm old enough to be telling people like social justice issues and why no one wants to hear social justice issues from the majority. Like I make up the majority per
Oh,
se.
yeah. That is a good point too. That a lot of what gets clicks in that universe of things is controversial opinions, and like, yeah, if you're just saying like I agree with the popular opinion, and here's the five main bullet points that everyone else will tell you, it's hard to put a unique spin on that.
Yeah, so I gave up. So I didn't worry about that. So now I think we're in a good space from a perspective of this is the niche I want to fill, and then figuring out where else to be better.
Yeah.
But I'm
What do you think? Sorry, I'm kind of becoming the interviewer here and asking you a question.
dude, I love this. No, because this means you're
What-
engaged. No,
no.
no need to apologize.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think that niche is for yourself right now? Because I always find it difficult to describe my niche. Like I feel like I know in my brain like the kind of videos I want to make, but then I look at like the last 5 videos I released and I'm like,
You're like,
what
this doesn't
ties
fall
these
into that.
things together? Like I don't fucking know. Like yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to describe the niche that you have either. I think that actually might be one of the questions in there. So maybe we can get
Yeah,
more in depth with
great.
it. I don't know. I tend to think that like most of what my niche is, or what I want my niche ideally to be, is focusing on music of games that I enjoy. So I guess just to put you into the loop, just because I don't know, the games that are on some of the games that are on my list are games that also seem to resonate with you. So it's like I did the ULTRAKILL stuff. I have a Risk of Rain music video I want to be doing.
Nice. Yeah.
Eventually, when I play more RoboQuest and actually beat the game and pay more attention to its music, I'm going to do something about that.
Oh, the music in that game is awesome.
Right?
I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like ULTRAKILL music or like Dark Souls music, even like I can sit there and like dissect the motifs and stuff. With RoboQuest, I don't really know what to say about it though, other than that it just bangs.
Right.
Like it's just so good.
No, yeah, I have to come at like that was how it is with Risk of Rain, kind of, where I'm like, this music is so banging and it doesn't have any pretext behind it, so I just have to go into like my categorical technical knowledge of like what's being done, techniques being used, time signatures, instrument choices, and whatever. So that's I don't know how I'm gonna do it with RoboQuest either yet, but I haven't spent enough time to actually look at it.
Yeah.
And then and then I have a couple of other interesting ones in there. I have like some experimental stuff that I want to be doing that doesn't really make sense in context of what I just said.
I've always got those videos cooking on the back burner where I'm like I'm not sure the people are ready for this yet.
Yeah, but like my kind of experimental
Or
stuff, my kind of experimental stuff as it strays away from the content that I'm doing is like, I don't know, it's like really close to the mic narration stuff about like broad-ish abstract topics. And so like one thing that I want to do is talk about like my own experience with nostalgia through the ears of the music that I listened to from games as a kid. And as a result, it also means that I will probably eventually be talking about those games soundtracks as a more grown person. But I have 2 games in here that I put on the list only because this is gonna be silly. I tuned into a Gianni stream once and had a sub, and the sub renewed, and I put a little sub message in it, and I said, hello, I want to rant about video game music some more. And he both said, in 2 different instances, one of them he said, do the Quake Champions music, and I've never played Quake Champions, but it's in my list for whatever reason. And then I think he also said to do RoboQuest because he might have had that music on in a stream once, and I was like,
nice.
Okay, I'm going to put it in my list.
Yeah. I've played Quake Champions, albeit not a ton, but I don't like have any thoughts about the music in that game. I can't even like conjure up a piece of music from that game. But I would, if someone made a video on that, I would find that very interesting, especially because like a multiplayer shooter is such a different like style of game to make music for. Like, how do you make it fit, and how do you like tell a story in that like kind of environment? Are you even trying to do those things? Is maybe another good question.
Yeah, which honestly, that depth is actually a thing that's now making me more interested to listen into it, even if I don't play the game, and even if I don't even know if I'm interested in the game, to be honest.
That's what I thought too, but I played it because of Gianni, and I quite liked it. It doesn't it the game runs like absolute shit, and I've heard that this is the case on like all computers. Like the game just gets like a maximum of like 45 frames
Just poorly optimized.
per second. But yeah, it's terribly optimized. But it's still very fun. Like when you really start getting into it, it's quite fun. But I don't have a ton of time in it. But I was surprised at how much I liked it. I'll just put it that way.
Well, I'm gonna leave it up on my Steam page and see if I'm interested in getting it after the fact. But yeah, so that, in short, that's basically the kind of gimmick that I want to be presenting currently. I think my main issue is more the fact that I feel like my list has somehow dwindled faster than what it felt like when I was doing videos before it. So that's why I also have some other stuff that I'm interested in doing, because most of what I do is just video essay style, because taking speech and debate for multiple years means I have like a very good vocabulary and an ability to speak well enough that people will enjoy, and also compare me to other people who apparently sound the same as me, but regardless.
Wait, who do you get compared to?
Do you know who Soundsmith is? He's a Team Fortress 2 YouTuber.
The name rings a bell, but I'm not. I've never really played much TF2, so I guess I wouldn't have watched any of the videos.
Either way, yeah. Apparently, my like mannerisms and the way that I speak and the cadence with which I speak sounds like him. And I'm not saying that because I got one comment saying it. I'm saying it because I got like 10 comments saying it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've never. Okay, there was one comparison that I ever got as to who my voice sounds like, and you are going to laugh so hard at this if you know who this person is, I suppose. And it was so insane to me. The comparison was RT Game.
I don't. Well, hold on, wait, wait.
Okay, hold on. You're not supposed to agree with
No,
this
it's not really an
guy.
agreeing, but I think so I guess the joke obviously is that he is very Irish, I think it is. If I have the right
he's
guy.
Irish, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I can okay, now I think I understand. I don't verbally hear myself when people compare me to this guy, but I can verbally hear how people would think that the cadence with which you speak might sound kind of like his.
Okay.
I'm not saying
I might have to
innately agree.
revisit that.
Like-
No, I just thought it was funny because like I've never received any other like real comparisons for who my voice sounds like. Not that I really mind about that, but the one time I did, I had never been more blown away by how far off I felt they were.
Right?
I was like, "What?" Like I don't even have a remotely similar accent. It might just be like the little bit of Midwestern accent that I have, but even then it would almost make more sense if I was like Eastern Canadian or something. Like I don't know. I don't buy it.
Comparing you to somebody who is not,
On the same continent as me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's absurd to think about. That's funny though. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately that's to be said is I don't know. If I ever have like not like a batshit insane idea, but if I randomly am thinking about like a game and I'm like, and I have some weirdly profound thought about it, I'm like, oh, maybe I should make a video on this, and then I do. So it was like, I made the ULTRAKILL music thing because I was like, oh, I like this game and I like its music a lot, and at this point, I now have the ability to explain as to why. Made another video about the community. We'll get into that, and then I was like, you know what? I should make a video on Lethal Company. And how it proves we need games with proximity chat. And I was like, where did that come from? Who fucking knows?
Yeah, I think at least you sort of had the benefit of like the thing that you became known for was video essays. And so it's kind of natural in the video essay space to be like, well, okay, I'd made like a similar style video on a completely different thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing that I have struggled with is that I became known for like ULTRAKILL gameplay videos. But I had all these like, it was at one point it was just a game that I played and I enjoyed it enough to make videos on it. But all of a sudden I'm like, why did 20,000 people watch this? Like, I don't understand.
You're like, what the hell?
And next thing you know, that is just what you're known for. So I feel like the video essay space is just like a little bit more amenable to topic shifting. But there's something to be said for like ULTRAKILL videos too. Like the things that blow up range wildly from like the very high effort, very thought out like type of commentary videos that you made, all the way to like just unbelievably low effort shit posts. Like, and so I don't even know. I don't even know if I can quite discern what the algorithm wants when it comes to ULTRAKILL.
Yeah, I don't know. My best guess is that it just wants more of it. I don't know, because
Oh yeah.
in the modern day, the only people who I see having non-successful ultra kill videos are people who didn't really have a presence to begin with in any caliber.
Yeah.
And if I'm dead ass honest with you, I don't know how well that first video that I made would have done had it not been for the significantly increased traction that the video I made before it got compared to everything before it. And it's not like crazy
Yeah.
numbers, but it was like I'd go from a video that would get like 25, 30, maybe 100 views to a video that got 1.6 thousand in a couple of days. And then over the course of the next few months, I was like, let me just do this ultra kill video because I thought it would be fun. And by that point, YouTube was probably like, okay, here you go, spoon fed to me.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say that because that was my like exact experience too, pretty much. And I actually, to this day, would say that this is one of my worst videos and one of my biggest regrets. Like, it's not anymore. It's been like overshadowed by videos that have like way more views. Not that I like feel necessarily negatively about, but like, it's at this point, it's like a small blip in my history compared to everything I've done now. But I made a video on. Have you ever heard of a game called Guns the Duel? Uh,
No, I can't say that I have.
yeah, that's fine, because neither had I. But I watched this video of someone who was essentially just like explaining the history of Guns the Duel as an esport. It's like this very, very like scuffed Korean game that like accidentally had this like insane tech and like very high like skill ceiling.
Wow.
And I found it really interesting. I just reacted to this video on stream and I just threw together like a quick little edit of like my thoughts on it. And the original creator of the video that I had reacted to saw my video and like left a positive comment on it. But then I got flooded with fans of that game who were like, "You didn't understand it,"
Oh
like all
no.
this stuff. And I was,
Oh no.
and yeah, but I did get like a few like 2,000-3,000 views on that video as a result of that. And then like a month later, released my first Ultra Kill video, and the rest is history, I guess.
Jesus Christ.
So, but yeah, it happened kind of exactly like you described. Like I had one that just hit like a little bit more, and then next thing you know, it was to the moon.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I wish I could make jokes about not understanding. I wish I could make jokes about understanding the algorithm, but I don't understand it, so I just don't bother to try.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah, the only thing I understand is that I don't understand it
yeah,
at this
literally.
point.
Exactly. Yeah. So for me at this point, I'm like, I'm just going to throw stuff out and hope to God that it works. If it doesn't, hey, at least I'm not relying on it for money.
Yeah, that's all you can really do, honestly, is just have fun with it. I mean, that's always my advice. Like, if someone, I don't really get asked this question very often, but if anyone is ever asking for advice on streaming or YouTube, it's basically just have fun because nothing else really matters.
Yeah.
Unless you hit it really big and can actually do it as like a full-time job, then power to you. But you don't get there by like treating it as a job from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, treating stuff like a job is the exact reason why I've dropped doing certain things, because I'm always like, I don't know if I even have the schedule to uphold this, and then I just drop it and
Yeah.
don't look at it from an angle of like, I should do this when I find it enjoyable. But also, I guess in my defense, some of those things are like the success of that thing that you are doing is at least semi tied to how consistently you are doing it. So even though I'm not
Yep.
like expecting the streams that I do occasionally to pop off, if I was to be expecting them to at least be alive enough that I can talk with people in chat to keep engagement with people, I probably
Yeah.
should try and do it more than once every blue moon when I'm like, oh, I've got a couple of hours and want to experiment with something. Let's do it on a stream where no consequences will apply to me.
Yeah. That is kind of like a very like freeing way to stream though. And I kind of miss those days when I didn't feel like I had to set a schedule or anything like that. Like and I could just go live with whatever I wanted whenever I wanted and like as soon as I had like any semblance of people like watching regularly, all of a sudden I felt like I had to be like, okay, on Wednesday we'll be doing this, and on Friday we'll be doing this, and oh, did you guys like that stream where I played this game? Because I kind of want to play it again, but not if people didn't enjoy it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
it's like now you have like a standard to uphold in a way.
yeah. Yeah, and even if you're not like treating it like a quote unquote job, it's like as soon as you have like other people in the mix, like the opinions of others, all of a sudden it starts to feel that way.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's always just solid sound advice is especially if you are not a person who is at least semi-monetarily dependent on doing a thing. Do it when it brings you joy and don't feel like you have to, because that's how you are going to hate it for a while until
Yeah.
you introspectively realize, oh, I do enjoy this, but I was just overblown.
Yeah, YouTube really makes it almost impossible because everything is about analytics, and like even when you're posting videos for 10 viewers, they still show you, it's this one's a 1 out of 10, and this one's a 2 out of 10 or whatever. And it's like it was easier to ignore that admittedly when I was just posting like Rainbow Six Siege videos for my friends and maybe a tiny handful of people outside of that.
Yeah.
But now it's like I am in many ways still just doing content for fun, but I do like sometimes I'm like, ooh, that video is a 7 out of 10, and I really wish it had done a little better. I kind of thought it would do a little better. Like, yeah, it sucks. They just beat you over the head with it.
Yeah, YouTube is the school bully, even though they are also the school that you attend.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
uh, golly, man, the great thing about that entire thing you just explained to me, about you and your history with Rainbow Six Siege and YouTube actually literally basically answered like 3 of the questions that I had, which was like,
Hell
why were
yeah,
you even making Rainbow Six Siege videos, and why did you quit them?
yeah,
And then it was like, what was your thought process behind some of the videos you were making early on? And it's like, well, before that line that you drew in the sand, you were like, I'm doing these because it's funny, and
yeah,
only to me and 5 other people.
yeah. Yeah, it was just funny, fun, and like actually, I mean, that's kind of how I learned Premiere too, because I used to edit on my like way old Minecraft channel. I would edit in on a pirated copy of Sony Vegas. I think I'm sure I could say that the statute of limitations has passed or whatever.
Yeah, the channel's
Um,
dead. They're like, good luck finding
yeah,
it.
they can't even trace it back to me. Maybe I'm lying. Who knows? But yeah, and so that was kind of just how I learned Premiere, was by just making videos for my own enjoyment. And now I'd say I'm pretty good at it. I still only edit like for my own purposes, but like if I like God forbid if I had to get a job editing or something, I probably could do it.
Yeah, it's more than doable.
Like I have enough of the know-how. Um, but yeah, it's funny that you mentioned like why did I quit doing Rainbow Six Siege videos, because I don't know that I ever really like did. I probably wouldn't make one today. But like me and my friends just kind of like stopped playing that game for the most part. We still play it like every now and then. It's one of those games that I'll probably never really escape. Like just every so often, like 2 times a year or whatever. It's like we're all sitting around in a Discord call, like having some beers, and it's like, you guys want to get on Siege, like see what's up.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't like stream that or make a video out of it, but it does happen every so often. But once I started like really trying to get consistent with like content creation and streaming, like I just realized that for my own like sanity, I had to diversify and do more stuff. And that was really kind of the beginning of what is now what my channel is like.
Yeah.
And I threw a lot of stuff at the wall before anything really stuck. Like we talked about, making a random reaction video about some game that I had never played. Again, wouldn't make that video today, but like back then I was like, oh, well, this was like a pretty funny segment I had on stream. And like, yeah, I don't know, maybe some people will see it. And that was kind of how ULTRAKILL started too. It was just like fun game that I played that I'd like to share with more people. And so I just made a video.
Yeah, exactly.
And at that point I can truly say the rest is history.
Yeah, I always just think about like how, always looking at where you're at currently and then looking back at what you did in the past. Because I am actually one of those people that will cringe a lot at the things that I used to do when I was younger, because I was a fucking wee child still for a lot of it.
Mhm.
Um, and with the exception of like a couple of videos that I have since deleted because they don't even fit the style of video that I want to make,
Yeah.
I've kept most of them up. And so occasionally when I'm feeling particularly nostalgic, even though it's only nostalgia from like 4 or 5 years ago, it's like I'll go back and I'll go watch like the first Minecraft videos that I made that got also copyright striked, but so hard that
Yep.
they put, YouTube was like, you can either delete this portion from your video or we can put music over it. And I was like, oh, that's okay, you can put music over it, I don't really care. And then they just like put music over the first like 5 minutes of my 20-minute video, and the music was for the first like minute, if that. I was like, you guys are assholes.
Yeah, That's kind of how Twitch does it too. They just mute your VOD, but they mute like, if you played 30 seconds of music, they're muting the whole 5 minutes on either side.
Yeah.
It's
So,
wonderful.
but yeah, it's always I enjoy going back and looking at those things mostly because it's interesting to see how much my like humor and my like my way of speaking and miscellaneous things like that have changed over just the last couple of years. And I tend to be like, oh, what was I talking about back then? What was I what was I
Mhm.
concerned about as a 19-year-old and whatnot?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of view my channel in that same way, like, where it's very kind of like archival,
Yeah.
Like, even if I'm not like super proud of a video, I'm like, okay, well, this is still interesting because it was what I was doing and what I was thinking about at the time. And now that has even like kind of expanded tenfold with me uploading all of my Twitch streams as VODs. Like, I could literally go back to any, just about any day in the last 3 years and be like, what was I doing on that day? Like, what was I playing at the time? What was I God, I was editing a video where I wanted an old clip from a game. I think it was a Gloomwood stream, honestly. So it wouldn't have been that old, but it was long enough ago, more than a year ago.
Yeah.
And and right at the beginning of the clip that I just randomly picked and pulled into Premiere, I was talking with chat about like the Queen dying, like the Queen of
Oh
England.
no.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, that happened on this exact day. I was like, that's insane. Like I just never would have remembered that unless I had pulled that random clip
Yeah.
into Premiere.
Yeah, the historians will
Uh,
look back on this and go, did he predict it even though it happened after the fact?
yeah, God. I mean, that was another thing too. I think I was on in that same exact 3 minutes of footage that I pulled in. I was talking about how Jay Schlatt had like tweeted threatening messages to the Queen like
Oh.
the day
Oh,
before
oh
and then
my
had to
god, I remember
retract.
that.
I was like, okay, man, not you won't catch me doing that, but it is awfully funny.
Yeah, the most amount that I ever do with like I can definitively say the most that I do with big name people because sometimes I classify big names as like people who are just larger than I am, but I can definitively say the only thing that I do in association with big name people is that sometimes they will make a tweet about something and I will respond by directly DMing them knowing they won't respond because I think it's funny. Uh,
Uh-huh.
there's like a chef who I follow on or who I'm subscribed to on YouTube and I follow him on Twitter. And he made some tweet where he was like, I'm so fucking tired of like random people DMing me and then getting mad when I don't respond back to them. And then he said like, for X, Y, and Z purposes, do not DM me. And so I went into his DMs and I said, I am DMing you. Lamau got him and then didn't even say anything. He clearly hasn't gotten back to me yet, but I was like, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually like team closed DMs on everything, and I'm always kind of like I sometimes I wonder I'm like, am I like missing out on anything important? But then I remember like all the spam I used to get on Discord, and like another thing too is that I made the mistake one time of tweeting that I wanted an editor, like
Oh,
to
fuck.
hire an editor for my channel, and like I've I realize now why people like censor words like editor and graphic design and stuff like
Yeah,
that
because you
in
just get bots.
tweets because it's like, oh my God, I got like 20 bot replies. The good news is that one of the people who responded to me was actually someone who just watched my stream and he has now been editing for me for a year.
Hell yeah.
And so it worked out. But at that point in time, I was like, what have I done?
Yeah, that's a fringe moment. That doesn't happen very
Yeah.
often.
Yeah. So many notifications. You'd think Dave Oshry retweeted my tweet, which actually happened yesterday. And I was like, okay, I won't be using this app for the day.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just going to go put the phone down, take a break. I'll be back
Yep.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Nothing was worse than my yellow paint
Oh,
meme.
God.
I don't know if you saw that, but that was like a whole week of Twitter being unusable for me.
Yeah, I just remember somebody making a post about yellow paint, and I was like, why do I feel like I've seen somebody that I like watch their content consistently talking about yellow paint? I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I know where that came from.
Yep. Yeah, and it was just that one time too. I wasn't even like constantly like adding to the yellow paint discourse or anything. I just like looked at my bathroom door and I was like, huh, wouldn't it be funny if I put yellow paint on it?
Yeah, wouldn't it be funny if I
And
put
then
an exclamation point over the door?
yeah, and it was funny. What wasn't funny was how seriously some people took it. My God, like there was debates in the replies, and I was just like, I'm not getting involved in this.
You're like, maybe I should repaint my door just to spite them.
Yeah, right.
Oh God, yeah, I don't. I mess with Discord in the same, or sorry, Twitter in the same way that I mess with every social media platform, where stuff that I'm interested in looking at shows up. A fair bit of political
Hmm.
things come up because I try and be informed, and then it'll be like, mostly entertaining stuff, and I'm like, I try to avoid as much discourse as possible in like the internet online like gaming space because I'm like, I don't have time for all of this
Yep.
nonsense.
I definitely have I was gonna say love-hate relationship with Twitter, but it's like a tolerate-hate relationship at best,
Yeah.
where like I get a lot of like information and I connect with a lot of people like that I speak to for like content creation purposes through there. Um and so it's very like useful to me in a sense, but I also am like someone who will like open up the app and just like be like, "Oh, what's going on?" and just like scroll and I'll see like, "Oh, cool new game that is interesting." And then scroll down and be like, "Oh, an opinion on something that I don't care about at all that is completely blowing my mind and how stupid it is. Great. I love this app. Thanks for delivering me that today."
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. People say there's a way to purify your for you section on Twitter so that it's actually stuff that you're interested in, but I have not figured out how to do it yet. It's just it's a mix of things that I am interested in and just pure misery. So
Yeah. Twitter is genuinely such a crazy place. I don't know. Twitter's a crazy place for two reasons. The first one, and the significantly less funny one, is that I've found that I feel like anytime I linger on a post for a little too long, within the same session of having Twitter open, it'll start showing me more of that. And then as I stopped engaging
yeah.
with
Oh
it, it
yeah.
just goes away.
Oh
Uh,
my god. Sometimes I do like and I really should stop doing this, but sometimes like I'll see now that people can like tweet longer if they, pay the Musk man, which is we don't even need to go into how stupid that
mhm.
is. But now that you can tweet longer and like you have to expand some tweets, I will sometimes like hate click on something that I know is going to be stupid just to read all of it and be like, "Yep, that was stupid."
You and me
But
alike.
it definitely sees that you clicked on it and thinks like, "Oh, you're interested in more of this," and then it's just such a slippery slope from there.
Yeah. So the less I do that, the more I find that my timeline is more just like it's a lot of stuff that I still don't get because it's from a lot of content creators that I don't know, but they're being friendly and
Mhm.
positive and happy and trying to like share their wins. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, cool. I'm gonna keep engaging with that, and I'm gonna stop engaging with a guy who keeps sending dick pictures to VTubers over Twitter DMs. Yes, that is a
Jesus
real
Christ.
thing that I had to hear about the other day, and I was like, all right, no more of
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah, I tend to find that, like, as long as it's giving me, like, spaces that I'm interested in, even if it's not, like, specific things that I know about or, like, have engaged in the past, then I'm okay with that.
yeah,
Like, if I'm seeing, like, new games from, like, indie developers and stuff and, or, content creation type stuff, like, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool with that."
yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter who it is. I'm down. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I respect
Better
that.
I mean, better that than, like, what it could be, which is, like, Andrew
Anything
Tate
worse.
tweets and shit like that. Like
Yeah. But no, the other half of the significantly funnier thing about Twitter being an interesting platform is that I have a Google casting form for this show for no reason. It doesn't serve the purpose, but I made it because I thought that
Hmm.
it was going to serve a purpose for me, and I was like, hey Marzuku, emailed him and said, hey, can you fill this out because he did want to come on the show, and I was like, what social media platforms do you have? And he's like, I have a YouTube, I have a this, I have a Twitter, or I have an Instagram, and he was like, I don't use Twitter anymore because every time I go on there I see a dead body, and I'm like, yep, that'll do it.
Yeah.
That's good
Yeah,
enough.
that was a problem for a while. I luckily didn't get down that particular rabbit hole of, fucked up shit that exists on Twitter, but, like, I was definitely, like there was a period of time where I was getting, like, close enough to some really horrifying stuff that I was like, "I need to, like, scroll past this stuff as fast as possible so the website does not think I'm even remotely interested in seeing more."
Yeah. So yeah, Twitter is a place, and using it
Yep.
only primarily for business inquiries is what prevents it from getting even worse for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I don't know. It's like I said, tolerate hate relationship for me. If I wasn't doing content creation, I don't think I would use Twitter at all. But as it is, I've kind of made it into something sort of adjacent to an okay place for me to kind of just scroll and see cool shit,
Yeah, I
and every now and then maybe see a dead body.
yeah, like if I scroll fast enough past it, they won't think I want to see it, and
Yeah,
it will go away in
exactly.
the next cycle, so that's okay.
Yep.
uh, yeah, I literally only keep Twitter because it allows me another platform to engage with people who I'm interested in bringing on, and also just seeing more from them, like what they're
Yep.
doing on a very casual website. This is probably the last thing I have to say about Twitter before I actually move on to the conversation
Yeah.
people came here for. Which, if I'm honest, because of how many questions I have here and the time constraints, I don't know if we'll have enough time. So we'll find a way to make something work. But the
Yeah.
when I was on Twitter this morning, I saw a tweet from Trav Guy, and essentially it was something. The original tweet that he had subtweeted was something about cars. And he retweeted it, and he said, hold on, I'm trying to actually look through it. Here it is. So it's a picture of a guy standing in front of a crowd of people saying, "Yes, you're all wrong," and the original poster of the image saying, "What's your unpopular car opinion that has you like this?" And then he retweeted it and said, "More cars should be edible." And I'm like,
you
what?
know what? I saw. I think I do follow Trav Guy, so I think I briefly scrolled past that, and I was just like, huh? It was one of those things where if I had stopped for like a second longer, I would have been like, oh, he is like just completely taking the piss here.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
like at the moment, I was like, wait, what? I think it was maybe when I first woke up this morning. I think I saw I had a DM from you, responded to it, and scrolled quick, and I was like, wait, what? This is too early for this.
Yeah. Literally went into the replies, and I was like, "What do you mean more?" I don't understand.
Yeah.
So that's maybe the funniest thing that Twitter has done for me, is that people in the ULTRAKILL space, or people who I guess I can say are most commonly known for being in the ULTRAKILL space, or people who are part of the New Blood or whatever.
Is that what Trav Guy is known for now?
In my estimation, it looks like it. It seems like that's like some of his most popular videos. Like, he's known for analyzing, like, especially as of recently, like boomer shooters.
Yeah.
But based on the numbers, that seems like that's the case, and I hope that's not slanderous. But it's always like
no,
it's like
no,
him.
no, you're fine.
It's like him.
I was not meaning to call that into direct question. I just was like, I know him as being more of like a civvy type guy who covers just like all the boomer shooters.
Yeah.
But the truth is that I didn't actually watch his ULTRAKILL videos. It's not because I don't like him or because I don't like ULTRAKILL. I actually have just consumed so much ULTRAKILL content through what I've watched on YouTube. Playing the game for 200 hours myself,
You're like,
and
no more.
like editing my own videos, that I'm like, I see like a 2-hour video from Trav Guy, and I'm like, I'm sure that video is great. I can't do it.
I can't. Yeah, but yeah, regardless of the fact, it's like people who are kind of in that space. I'm like, you guys tweet some funny ass shit, and that makes me happy. So
yes, oh yeah, for sure.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay. Now it's time for the meat.
Yeah, fire away.
It's time for the meat. I literally just wrote it down as "let's talk about ULTRAKILL," because there's way too many fucking things that way too many ways this could go that I didn't even have the courage to write stuff down. I wrote down one thing, which is concerning one of the songs, and specifically as it pertains to the tier list video that you made. Because again, that's kind of my most recent.
Fire away. It's good a place as any to start.
Yeah, that's my kind of.
I think a lot of people have things they'd like to ask me about that tier list based on the comments I got on that. That is like, I don't think it would be right to say that was maybe the most controversial thing I've done within the ULTRAKILL community, but it was top 3, I think, based on the comments. People were not happy about some of the opinions expressed in there, and I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I don't know how ULTRAKILL as a community reacts to what people think about songs, but when you quantify
I didn't either until that video.
Yeah, when you quantify and put it into a tier list, then everyone gets very opinionated.
That was such a like offhand, like random stream segment that I just posted as like a VOD. It has more views than a lot of my videos on my main channel at this point.
Yeah.
So
welcome to ULTRAKILL.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is like people were very mad that I was not listening to like the full song. Like I was just listening to like snippets as like a refresher. And my response to those people is always like, you can just go listen to the soundtrack. I'm like, I've heard each song 100 times.
Yeah, you're like, I know.
Like, I just am like, okay, like I hear the motif and whatever. I'm like, okay, good. I can rank this one.
Yeah, I'm very.
But people were so mad that I wasn't like playing out the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, go to youtube.com/Hakita. It's all there.
In like 3 videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's especially that would be such a long segment. Like to listen to the entire song already is like 2.5 hours, 3 hours long. And then to talk about
I just
them.
didn't yeah. I didn't expect that to get the level of engagement that it did. I honestly, it was just like a random offhand stream segment, and yeah, whatever. It
Yeah.
just
I
fucking
guess
went
what
to the moon.
I guess what I've honestly realized from this is that ultra kill content in general pops off, and I'm very cynical about the fact that if you are well known for that and primarily known for that, a lot of stuff you do after the fact won't do well. But that's whatever.
Yeah.
What I've also found out is that the ultra kill music space specifically is very sparse right now. Not a lot of like
Mm.
the most amount of content that you're getting out of it is people either like re-uploading the songs for reasons, or it's people like making fan made music, or it's like the really big like Marco Meatball type people who are reacting
Yeah.
to specific songs, but nobody's doing tier lists for the songs. No one
It,
did an entire analyzation of the whole fucking soundtrack until I came in and did it, I think.
yeah. Well, and based on the kind of views you got on that video, I would say that was a vacuum. You filled an existing vacuum pretty well with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I do kind of like though what Marco Meatball has been doing with the game, and like I think it's so common for like a bigger creator to engage with like the ultra kill space in like with kind of like at arm's length, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll play it a little bit and then like, I don't know, just wait for full release or whatever. And like, I mean, safe to say, I think some of them have been scared off by how intense the fan base is too.
Yep.
And that's something that we could talk about more in a second. But what I think it has caused more than like a lack of like this or that, like coverage of this or that aspect of the game, is a lack of like personality based content creators in the ultra kill space. Like I don't even want to like toot my own horn, but like I think that is after a lot of like thinking about it and wondering like why do people care about my videos specifically? I think that is why my videos originally did so well, because people were like, "Oh, this is just like a regular guy playing the game."
Yeah, this
And
is
that's it.
just a
Like,
dude.
he's not XQC, he's not Markiplier. Like those were like the two top videos on the game when I made my first video, was like just those two playing the game.
Yeah.
Individually, not together.
Could you
Obviously, I think
imagine?
people know that. But yeah, that would be, ugh, wow. um, but yeah, I was like, after that first video started getting views, I was like, I am on the front page of search results with Markiplier and XQC. I'm like, I don't know how to feel about
Like,
that.
what the fuck
um,
happened?
yeah, but what's weird is like, I guess maybe like that was kind of a vacuum that I like filled a little bit, and now it's like you have people who are talking about like I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who makes the like summoning salt type like speed
Oh,
running
Dark Nova?
videos, like yeah, Dark Nova, thank you. I've watched those videos and they're great. I feel bad I couldn't remember his name, um but those videos are great and like kind of fill another little niche. And like your videos on the music and or your video, I guess. Have you only made one video on the music of Ultra
I made a
Kill?
second
It's
one
such a
on
big
layer
video. Oh,
7.
did you make a second one?
Yeah.
Okay. I just remember the one where you essentially go through all of it. Um, but then like Marco Meatball too, like kind of filling the like music vacuum. But I just don't see that many like personality based creators in the space, like people who are just like dudes playing the game.
Yeah, just dudes playing the
Um,
game who have a sense of humor that people can relate to.
yeah. Well, and I'm not like, I will be the first to admit that I'm not like amazing at the game. I think because I am so willing to share like my bad experiences with the game, that a lot of people think I'm worse than I am. But I don't consider myself to be like particularly good. Like I put in the work to, I 100% of the game, but like I'm not sitting here pretending like I'm some like top amazing speedrunner. You already had West Axel on the show for that.
Yeah, you're like
um,
my name is not on the speedrun.com board, therefore.
it is actually for P1.
Oh,
It
no
used to be
fucking
like
way.
50 something. But now it's like in the 200s or some shit. But back way back when I first P ranked that level, I did dabble in speed running it a little bit. I actually find that stuff fun, but I'm under no like delusion that I'm like ever going to like post a top score or anything.
Yeah, exactly. No.
I just do it because I like it, which is kind of the truth with everything when it comes to Ultra Kill. I just do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think maybe it's just because I'm like so willing to share like the struggles and like the bad experiences that I've had with the game, that people are like like, oh, this guy sucks. He died 1,000 times to Sisyphus or whatever. But all this to say, like clearly the reason people enjoy my content is not because of like the skill level. So I must be bringing something else to the table that people enjoy. And I do think it's just that, like, I am just a dude who plays and enjoys the game.
Yeah, exactly. I
Um,
also think
but I don't see enough like other people fulfilling that niche, I think. But I don't know. Maybe it just isn't like something people are looking for. I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird phenomenon to me because I think a lot of other games have that. Like I look at like Souls games, which I don't know if that's something you're super familiar with, but like that's like all it is like videos of people just doing weird challenge runs and like just
yeah,
doing,
I've seen
you know,
plenty of
playing with goofy
Gino
mods and
Machino
stuff like that.
videos
Yeah,
pop
Gino,
up.
yeah, he's a good one. Yeah,
Uh,
one of my probably my most watched streamer of the last year is Lil Aggie. And he is originally a Sekiro speedrunner, but he does all sorts of like Souls stuff as well. And I just like, you know, I could watch a lot of people play Elden Ring or Dark Souls or whatever, but I watch him because I like him.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point.
So
But that's actually that
yeah,
gets into a big portion of it, which kind of gets into two things for me. The first one is that I think if people are coming to a content creator for their personality strictly, or the ability to engage with that personality in a way that is not super heavily edited per se, Twitch is obviously the
yeah.
best place to go for that. Like YouTube,
Oh yeah,
YouTube it can work, but Twitch, that's kind of the whole point of the damn thing. So I can definitely see how that's like the biggest appeal there. I think what's interesting about the way that you've executed it on YouTube is that while I don't know how the algorithm feels about the fact that you are just pulling videos
Mhm.
from Twitch and editing them, I'm sure they don't realize it's from Twitch because it's been edited per se. I don't really understand how their systems work. So the algorithm might maybe questionably favor it, but a lot of people would probably be very into it for you as your personality, whatever happens to happen in the game. And then also, actually, what adds a lot of substance, and I don't think a lot of people realize, is that person's interaction with the chat and what that adds to a video.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a big like, you know, maybe not back when I made those first Ultra Kill videos because realistically, I didn't ever have anyone in chat back then. Um, but now I've learned that that's like a big I guess to just to back up slightly, if I'm streaming, I'm always doing it like, you know, with kind of like the maybe this will be a YouTube video. Like I'm always like thinking like how could I maybe like work this into that or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've realized that like a big part of the streaming experience is obviously like the interactions with chat. So I would say that like it took me a while to like really lean into that because there was a long time that I was making videos that I didn't even have like chat on my screen.
Damn.
Probably because I was embarrassed like how slow it was and how little people were talking. But eventually, when I had an audience, I would start to always have it up. And I want to say it was around when I made a video on Neon White. Like, and I don't know if you played
I
Neon
love that
White, but
game so much.
yeah, it's great. Absolutely ridiculous though, especially with the story and like just the things people were saying in chat were just so funny that I like had to make them part of the video.
Yeah.
And I think from that point on, I just was like, okay, chat is 100% like an asset to me in making good videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I was even just thinking of like one hyper specific moment that again is coming from the Ultra Kill tier list because that's the most recent video that I've seen. Where I think somebody was like, what the hell did they say? There was a song that you had, one of the songs that you were looking at, and you were like, I think I might put this in like mid to high A, and someone was like, I'd put this in I'd put this in P, and you were like, yeah, well, if chat controlled this tier list, they would all be in P. Like, calm down.
yeah, okay, I do remember saying that. That's funny.
So it's just
Yeah,
little
that
things
was the
like
thing.
that.
Like, I think I prefaced it. Maybe I didn't preface it, but at some point in the video, I was like, listen, it's Ultra Kill music. Like, it's pretty much all good. We already all know that. So I'm ranking them in relation to each other, not in relation to like all of music.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people were just like, oh, tier list. And they click on the video and then they skip to the end. And like, because so many people were mad that I put the, uh, what is it called?
The halls of
The end
sacrilegious
of,
remains.
yes.
I remember that. You
I
were
put
like,
it
yeah,
in,
someone's
I
going
put
to
it
skip
in
to
what?
the end and be like, why is this at the bottom?
Yeah, I had like a tier that was literally just like this is not even like really a song or whatever, and I put that down there because on my like download of the soundtrack, it is like smashed together with the other side. I'm sure you know better than me. I just can't think of
Yeah,
the
Altars of
titles.
Apostasy literally leads into that
Yes,
song at the
exactly.
very end. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I rank them as one, and I put them very close to the top of the tier list. But so many people skipped to the end and were like, "How dare you?" And I was like, "Watch the video, brother,
Yeah.
please. I'm begging you."
I was genuinely going to skip to the end of the video, not to judge the whole listing, but to actually look at the songs you put at the very top and be like, oh,
Uh-huh.
why did you put these at the top? Why do you think they're so good? And then I was just like, I was like addicted to watching what you had to say about the songs because I was like, oh, I don't think I would have put that there. I think this is the sensibility that I would have used. This is what I might have said. This is where I would have placed it. And not in like a combative way, but just like, it's interesting to see how much different it is because we come from two different experiences. And I have maybe propped the soundtrack up a lot higher. I'm not going to say higher than it deserves, but a lot higher than I maybe would if I was in a more level-headed space because I had to like analyze it from a technical perspective and from like a perspective of how it fits in with the rest of the game.
Yeah. No, that's a very like kind of self-aware way to look at it. And I think it's true that anything that you are just like exposed to that much, you're like inclined to think differently about. Um, Meanwhile, for me, although I had heard all that music a lot, when I made that tier list, it was me just sitting there on stream being like, "Huh, how do I feel about this? I've never really thought about it. I don't know. I guess B tier, right?" Like,
Yeah.
it's like not much more thought than that went into it. So it's just funny that it is like kind of the Ultra Kill music tier list. If you were to just search Ultra Kill music tier list,
Yeah, it's like the
like,
statistically most like
yeah,
average analysis of it per se. You're like, I
yeah,
am the
just
everyman.
like, oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I am obsessed with talking about the game's soundtrack with other people who understand it enough to be able to humor me on it. But you got to the complete and utter destruction of the senses, and you were like, all right, I know where I have to put this. And then I thought about the fact that I had one guy come into I had a lot of people coming into my chat, actually, into the comments on the first video being like,
Mm,
complete and utter destruction of the senses is banger because I kept making fun of it at the beginning because it was funny. And I was like, hold on, I don't actually hate the song. Like, calm down, brother.
yeah.
And then proceeded to poke fun of it again in the second video that I made. But when you were talking about it, it reminded me that there was a guy who came into my comment section once flaming me for calling complete and utter destruction of the senses bad. I clarified with him that I thought it was actually a good song, but that it was funny to poke at. And then he replied and said something to the effect of he plays the song on full volume to to focus. I'm like, okay, nope. Shut the fuck up. No, you're not.
Yeah, you're too far gone.
You're too far gone.
Oh my god, yeah. The thing you will discover through YouTube comments, and like we already kind of touched on this when we talked about Twitter a little bit, is that somehow a guy exists for every opinion that you could possibly imagine. It's just
Yeah.
bizarre. This is a strange place down there.
I had somebody come into the comments recently on the recent video and say, I listen to War Without Reason when I go to sleep. And I was like, well, at least you're not as bad as this guy over here. And they were like, they were trying to like justify it to me. And they were like, well, like the piano in it is a little, I was like, I don't care. Like, you're not as bad as this guy.
Yeah.
But that was like one of the biggest things that I was thinking about through that tier list. And I was like, this is a fair ranking for him to put it up there. If it was my tier list, I would have put it at the bottom because it's so abrasive that I don't want to listen to it.
I think though, like for me, when I was thinking about that song, it was kind of like thinking about it in the context of the level, and I think that the way it's introduced is cool. I think it's supposed to be abrasive. It's not like Hikita accidentally made like a quote
Yeah, it's not
unquote
like he
bad
was
song.
bad
Like
at making it.
and I don't know, the people who think that like, I've seen it described as like nails on chalkboard and stuff like that. And I don't know like what kind of music you tend to listen to the most, like just for your own personal enjoyment. But like I'm very into like punk and some like metal
Mhm.
and just a lot of kind of out there like alternative rock. And I listened to something like that and I'm like, this does not sound that insane to me as someone who like is aware of like harsh noise music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like things that are so like that the people saying that it sounds like nails on chalkboard have probably never even imagined that there is music that could be like more abrasive than that. And so to me, it doesn't sound that crazy. Like, am I listening to it for fun? No, probably not. But
It's not as nearly as
but
dramatic
that's
as people like me would make it out to be per se.
well, I mean, sometimes I think making things out to be more dramatic than they are is good for content.
Yeah, it's funny.
So power to you. Yeah. And it's probably good for engagement too. Like just people in the comments typing about it. I actually had that thought recently. about an Ultra Kill video I posted after the violence update came out. Because when I played it through it the first time on stream, I got to that like brain boss at the end of 7-4
Yeah.
with the lasers, and I went against the lasers because I saw there were gaps in it, and I was like, oh, you can just like jump through it or whatever. I would never in a million years have believed how controversial that decision was, that I've been called like stupid and all this different, and I'm just like, bro, it's not that serious. I just went the other way with the lasers.
Yeah, you're like, I
And
walked
the other thing too,
clockwise, like piss off.
the other thing too is when I made that video, I immediately said right after, I was like, yeah, I went and did the level back and I went the other way and it was a lot easier. Like I get it. Yeah.
My bad.
Like yeah, I understand. But you wouldn't believe how many comments I got about that thing. And I just had to sit back and be like, is this maybe like good for the video that like people are just
Hate
engaging? Like,
engaging it
the
a little
comments
bit.
are annoying, yeah, but like but like it's probably getting like more views and engagement because of this, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. That was around the time too when I had to just be like, I'm especially on Ultra Kill content, but like just in general, I had to kind of draw a line and just be like done with comments, especially on the main channel. But I'm not like totally done with them. But when I post a new Ultra Kill video, I have to just be ready to be like, okay, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna probably want to read what people have to say.
Either
about
brace
this.
yourself or be very, very, very cautious about what you're doing.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, I used to think like, well, when you first like post a video that does really well, it's like really fun to be like, oh, people care about this and like they have stuff to say and like I want to talk to them and whatever.
yeah.
But the more I did that, the more I found out that like conversations so often, even if they were like you thought they were being had in good faith, so often have the tendency to turn sour if you just say like one little thing wrong because you don't know like really anything about the person on the other side that you're talking to. And one of the most egregious examples was like a guy who essentially just tried to correct all the ways in which he felt my gameplay was
Oh,
wrong. And I
bro.
was just like he literally left me like a bullet point list of like at this timestamp you could have done this instead of this, and I was just like this is obviously like clearly so annoying and whatever. And I just left a comment. I was like, hey man, don't do this.
This
And
is not helpful.
he responded, I'm sorry, I'm 12 years old. And I was like, oh, I'm arguing with a
And
12
then
year
you
old.
proceeded to make that video that was like, I did a PowerPoint presentation about all my followers. Accurate representation of the.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that was definitely more of like my stream watcher demographic, but yeah, I mean, and I think in some ways the internet is just like that. Like you would be shocked like how many kids are just like on Twitter and on YouTube and interacting with you on a daily basis. And by kids, I mean just minors, like under
Yeah,
18.
literally.
Um, but especially within the ultra kill space, I'm always surprised at how young it seems to trend. And it's I'm kind of making like a neutral statement here, but it has in some ways been bad for me because like I made so many of these videos before I was like, oh, like a bunch of you are like, 14 years old or whatever. And I'm like, I sit here, I'm like, I'm 29. What do I have in common with a 14-year-old? Almost
That
nothing.
you
Maybe
like
just that
Ultra
we
Kill.
both like
That's
ultra
it,
kill.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm like, this is not actually really good for even though like the number goes up on YouTube, I'm like, is it the right people that are finding my videos and stuff? Like, I don't know. It's been a challenge in that way too.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't even imagine because as a person who's only been really actually trying to make good content for the last 6-7 months or whatever, I can like take my time and do my long form stuff, but I couldn't even imagine going and posting it and then finding out that a lot of my viewers are like twice my age or half my age. I'd be like, what the fuck am I gonna do
Yeah.
with myself? Like,
Yeah. I mean, you kind of just need to not think about it too much. That's like kind of where I've got because I'm like, how much am I really in control of like who sees my video? Because I don't make videos like geared towards kids or even like teenagers really. Like I can definitely understand when someone like uh says they're 16. I'm like, okay, what? Like, yeah, this seems like something I would have watched when I was 16.
yeah,
But like, all the time I get people who are like college age or whatever too, and like, so it's not. I'm not like gearing it towards any specific demographic. And then YouTube kind of just does with it whatever it will. Like, and if the audience for Ultra Kill is like, preteens and teenagers, which to me is weird, but like, hey, whatever. Then I guess that's just who's watching it. Like, what can I really do?
yeah, exactly.
Other than just make videos that I want to make and that I think people like me would want to watch. So
Yeah, exactly. Your target demographic is you.
Yeah, basically. Well, and that was another reason why I kind of had to step back from like reading and responding to comments, because I found myself responding to people like they were like me, basically, right? Like I'm imagining myself talking to someone like me,
Yeah.
almost, like someone who is like an adult and like out of college and like has a job. And I'm
Nope.
like, okay, yeah, no, most of you are not like that, I guess. Maybe the Souls community is a little more like that, but yeah, Ultra Kill, it was not the case. And yeah, the other thing too is like I found out a lot of the comments I were getting. Sometimes there was like a pretty strong language barrier because people from like Eastern Europe and just less privileged countries in general are like more often getting into this game than say like Doom Eternal or something,
Yeah.
because it costs $20 versus
And it's not as
$50 or whatever.
demanding on the graphics.
Yeah. So that was another thing too that I had to kind of reckon with when it came to learning who my audience really was.
Yeah, it's
Um,
very interesting looking at like the people who have watched my videos the most, because it's like US, Canada, Australia, duh, that makes sense, and then it's like Vietnam, Brazil. I'm like, what the fuck? Where did you
yeah,
guys
the
come from?
Vietnam one is weird because I don't think that one even registers on my like most viewed
Jesus.
countries or whatever. Yeah.
But then like in a similar vein, like when I'll post TikToks, which most of the TikToks are either something funny that happened in a stream I was watching that I was doing, or a video that I made that I just like I split up the layer 7 video into like 6 parts for all the analyses that I did. Every
Yeah.
goddamn comment that I got is in Russian. I'm like, is my audience based in Russia? These don't have that many views, but every single one of them,
Yeah.
they're in Russian, except for one guy that said balls. I'm like, fuck this platform.
Yeah. That's yeah. That's one thing that I have done though. Like you can't, when you post something on a certain platform, like you can't in Twitch, you can't control like who decides to come into your chat. I mean, if they start saying crazy shit, you can just ban them. But like,
Exactly.
you don't really get to pick who can just like click on your stream and watch. Same thing with YouTube. You don't control who it gets recommended to really.
Yeah.
But the one line in the sand that I have drawn is that I'm not doing TikTok. I'm like, I do the YouTube shorts every now and then. In fact, this is something that a lot of people probably don't know and maybe won't even believe when I say it. But my most viewed video on any of my channels right now is an Elden Ring short on my Clips channel
Let's go.
with like it has almost 1 million views. I keep saying it has 1 million, but I think last I checked it was like 900 some thousand. But whatever, it's basically
Close enough.
yeah, it'll never pass that one Minecraft video way back. But yeah, so I think that's funny because people are like, "You're the Ultra Kill guy. You're known for Ultra Kill," and then it's like me showing them the one Elden Ring short. Like, I disagree, buddy. But yeah, I just am like, I don't use TikTok. No one I know really uses TikTok. No one I like know personally, like in real life,
Yeah.
uses TikTok. Like obviously, people in my Discord and stuff use it, but I'm just like, I'm just not gonna do it. That's just not an audience I'm interested in reaching.
Yeah, no, that's totally reasonable. That's I think that's the biggest example of the age gap right there, is that of course, because I I work a salary job and I can't afford an apartment in my state. I'm like, let me try and make money anywhere I can, and TikTok is not the move, but it's still really funny to do it.
Yeah, no judgment whatsoever. That's just like a personal line for me, and it's really funny. I have a friend from high school who I got to know because I was involved in my high school's theater, like doing like backstage stuff. And he was 2 or maybe 3 years younger than me. But it's like all my friends who are like my age or like 1 year younger do not use TikTok, and like he was the first person I heard about TikTok from, and he's like 2 or 3 years younger than me, and he's like everyone I know is on TikTok. Like the line is so like it's like right under my age group.
Yeah, like you
Like, and all of a
just
sudden,
barely missed it, and you're okay with that.
yeah, I am.
Yeah, and I
But
respect
yeah,
that.
no judgment. I mean, I get I get how it is.
It's also just it gives me more interesting content that I like seeing. So I didn't mean to imply that I was offended by it. I was just making a joke that, because I made like a post once that it was just like one long paragraph, And I just said, like, why does the housing market have to be so volatile to people like me that are just trying to make a living? Like, how come I can work a salary job and I still can't afford a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment? Like, why do I feel the need to monetize everything that I do because of the
Mm.
thing being so hostile? And it was on like a Snapchat post that I made, and I was like, all right, cool. One of the most doomer things
Yeah.
I've maybe ever said, and I don't even really know what that means.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah, well, I say our generation. I'm technically a millennial, but I'm literally on like the bottom like end of millennial, but like our general like kind of age bracket is really pretty fucked, aren't we?
Yeah, but people won't get to hear about that on this show because I'm not going to talk with an analyst about it because that's boring
Yeah.
as shit.
Yeah.
um,
Instead you could hear two bozos that don't know anything about that talking about it.
yeah, I'm just like, I'm trying my best. We're trying to make
Yeah.
arrangements work, and eventually it'll work. But you won't hear about that on this show because it hasn't happened yet. Um, I guess okay. This is so I'm not going to stretch you too. Hopefully, not stretch you
No,
too thin
I
on
can
this.
go a bit longer. Yeah, no worries.
And again, I guess as a safe warning, we have gotten through 4 questions, and I have 5 more, so this might have to be saved for a different time, talking about other stuff that you are also very impassioned about. That is not this, but I guess this is more of a 2-parter. But the first half of the question is mostly just something that I normally ask at the top of the video, which is
Mhm.
like especially because you mentioned that you're like, I have most of my Twitter DMs just closed off. I was impressed that I was even able to get a Twitter DM through just knowing that knowledge now. But I'm curious what interested you in coming on the show in the first place, and did it have anything to do with the community video that I made that you responded to, saying that if people ask for your opinion on the community, you'll direct them my way?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was like how I was actually like introduced to your channel in the first place was that video. Weirdly, because the music video is definitely like something that if it had come up in my like recommended that I probably would have clicked on. But I never saw that somehow. But your like community video did get posted in my Discord,
Oh
and I was like,
shit.
"Oh, this is definitely," well, but my Discord, it's not really that crazy.
No, it's just
Um,
that, like, seeing anything of mine that gets put elsewhere that isn't within my own community, I'm always like, oh, interesting that I'm reaching people that have at least some
yeah.
degree of familiarity and association with
Oh, no,
another
I get
content creator
that.
that I enjoy.
I
So
get that. It's so much weirder to think that, like, that people might be, like, DMing your video to, like, their friends and stuff than it is to think that, like, they're just seeing it on their YouTube homepage and clicking it.
yeah, like
Like, for some
yeah.
reason, that is, like, weird. Like, it feels more personal somehow.
Yeah, it's like I can
Uh
see that the impressions are huge, but it's even crazier to see somebody look at it and then go, "Yeah, I think a bunch of people should see this," and send it to a bunch of people.
The weirdest thing to me is that sometimes I'll have just like a old VOD from like a year ago or whatever that got like 50 views, like all of a sudden just get like a spike in views, and I'm just like, what happened? What happened here?
You're like, "Who
Like
brought it up?"
someone posted it somewhere in a Discord or something. What happened? But then I'm just like, whatever. It's yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just funny to look
Um
at. But continue.
uh yeah, but so that was how I was like first introduced to your channel, and we had maybe some different perspectives on things, but for the most part I found your video to be like pretty well worded, and like it captured a side of things that I didn't really get into in my video even, which was like the many positive things, and I kind of, even when I first posted, I kind of regretted that I didn't like go into more of that stuff because I'm sure you've watched that video at this point, but like
Yeah.
at the very end, there's like a bit where I'm like, well, hey, some of it's good, and like I met a lot of cool people and whatever. Anyways, bye. Like,
And
um, and the reason for that is not because I didn't feel like there was anything like positive, like worth talking about, but because I didn't really want to soften the blow of the things that I was talking about. Like I just wanted to be like, here's what I see, and like here's how I feel about it, and like that's it.
yeah.
Um, the way the video was originally structured, it was actually kind of like a responding to comments type video. Like here's some things I've seen people talking about that I want to respond to. But I just kept like working on it and kept rewriting it because I was like, well, I really want to get this one right. Like I don't want to like say something I didn't mean, or like blow something out of proportion that I didn't mean to. And I
Yeah.
did still do that one time in the video, and I've said a bunch of times that I was like, I wouldn't have included that part, or I would have done it differently in retrospect or whatever. Neither here nor there. I think everyone who cares knows at this point. Um, but basically I was just being really careful with that video because I I knew it could be like a sensitive subject for some people, but I also wanted it to like to hit too. Like I wanted people to be like, "Oh yeah, that is kind of
Yeah, not
a
just
problem."
brushing off what you're saying.
Yeah. So that was why I approached it that way. And it was also kind of the first time I had used like my platform to like say something. Because I don't really do that. If anything, like having people like talk about my opinions and stuff, and like it's really weird to me, and I still don't like it to this day. Um, but I've kind of chosen a bad like path for that because it's like, okay, well, everything I say at this point, at least on stream or whatever, is pretty public. So, um, but yeah, I mean, it was just like something I had a lot of like anxiety about. And even then, like I was like, I expected it to be like a more viewed video for my channel, but definitely did not expect like the level to which that video blew up. Like it, reaching Akita and stuff like that. And I think at that point I was like, okay, I'm happy about like the topics that I covered in this video as it pertains to the community and like things I've seen and like, just wanting to like set a good example for people, I guess. But I also like when I saw just like how like the response to it, like how many views it was getting and stuff, even though the reception was really positive, and like Hikita left a comment on it, and it wasn't like positive or negative. It was kind of just like a neutral statement on his own feelings about like the ultra kill community being perceived as toxic,
Yeah.
which I think is worth a read if if you or anyone listening to this has not read it. You don't even need to go watch the video. Just go click on it and scroll down to Hikita's comment because it's really well written.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find that.
Um, but just realizing that like by me calling attention to the issue that other people might see that and be like, "Oh, this community is just toxic as shit and there's nothing good about it or whatever." I was kind of like, "Ooh, yeah, it could kind of come across that way, couldn't it?" Even though that's not what I'm saying and only like, a portion of the video is actually devoted to toxicity and most of the rest of it honestly is about like balancing and shit like that.
Yeah.
Um like but that never gets brought up when people talk about that video. They're always like, "That's the video where you talked about the community being toxic," which I did. To be fair, in fairness, um, but yeah, I think the more I look back on that video, the more I'm like, okay, that was like the one time I used my like platform to really like try and say something, and I've realized that I don't like that. Like, I didn't like that kind of attention or that amount of attention, and I just it's not what I'm probably gonna do with my channel in the future. And even though I've like a lot of what I said in that video, I stand by, and anything that I didn't, I have since like clarified. I still think that like I look at your video and I'm like, if I were to do that video again, even though I would like, the video would be packaged differently and I would be speaking differently in my own way. I'm like, that is more or less the vibe that I would want to get across is what you did in your video. So that's kind of why I like connected with that video and ultimately left a comment on it. And yeah, I mean, that's how you and I got connected.
Yeah, simple
To
as.
be honest though, I tend to just try and like on Twitter or wherever, like follow and like support people within like a similar space to me that I think are like doing cool things. And like you after I saw that video, of course, you jumped out to me as someone who's like, "Oh,
You're like, "Oh,
here's
that's
someone
convenient."
that's actually making interesting ultra kill content and otherwise." Um and I always like to connect with people like that and support them as much as I can. The weirdest thing to me is like I do on ultra kill videos that I watch that I like, I do try to comment. I'm not someone who comments on YouTube. And anymore, when I comment on something, I get like 50 responses that are like, "It's the trash man, whoa!" And I'm just like, I don't want this. This is not the kind of attention I
Yeah,
want
you're
to
like, "I'm just here to
attract.
support this guy because his video is cool."
But I do think in a certain way, even if the people I'm commenting on don't know who I am directly, I think just being like, "Oh, hey, this guy with a kind of big channel likes my video," is like kind of cool to them. So I don't know. I try to do that when I can.
Yeah, and I'm
Um,
sure people appreciate that, especially like depending on the medium in which you watch YouTube. It's like you're not going to even be allowed the chance to comment very because like a lot of videos that I watch on YouTube, I'm like, oh, it's on my TV at home. Like I'm not, it's
yeah,
not on my
right.
computer very
Yeah.
frequently, so I don't physically have the ability to comment on
Oh,
stuff. But
yeah.
um,
It's very frequently like second monitor content for me too. Like sometimes by the
yeah,
time I think of something that I would even like post in a comment, like the next video has already started playing. And I'm just like, man, whatever.
you're like, if it comes up again and I remember, maybe we'll do
Yeah.
that.
Yep. but yeah, it's Ultra Kill and like just cool like, you know, boomer shooter or like even just indie game like people on YouTube. I always try to like if I really liked it, I try to leave a comment. So that's like my only exception to when I leave a
Yeah.
comment. Otherwise, I'm like that's the other thing too is when you think about the YouTube comment section, you're like, okay, like 98% of the comments I get are positive, and even if those 2% are like really shitty and toxic, like I just need to remember that most of them, most of the time, are positive. But then I'm like, who comments on YouTube anyways? Like what had to go wrong in your life for you to be someone who like comments on random videos? That's
Especially to be
harsh.
so mad to do it as well. Yeah, that's always the
Yeah,
crazy thing.
I'm being a little dramatic here, but like sometimes I'm like, I don't think anyone that I know leaves like comments regularly on YouTube
Yeah,
videos.
exactly. It's just not a thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that has definitely also altered my relationship with the comments. But
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. I think that really I also try my hardest to focus on the positive things that are coming out of it because they help me understand what I did good, and the ones that are like sometimes there's like things I communicate that I very well knew was not correct when I spoke about them, but I spoke about them in a way that I thought was funny, hoping people would get the joke and understand that I got it, that I actually knew what I was talking about, and some of them would be like, "That, what the hell are you talking about?" And I
yeah,
realized I didn't make it clear enough. I have maybe received exactly one hate comment, and the guy started it off with, "I'm not going to." He's like, "I don't want to be mean here," and then proceeded to just shit on everything I did. I was, and I didn't even, I haven't taken it too personally, but I went back and responded to him, and I was like, "Hey man, uh, you can't say no offense and then proceed to say offensive things your entire comment. Like that
yeah,
doesn't make
yep,
sense."
yeah.
Um,
No, that's a classic. But yeah,
but
I think it's all about like parsing the criticism too, right? Because like it's when it's like one person, it's so easy to just be like, all right, you're just mad or an insane person,
yeah,
and like and then just move on. But yeah, it's like you know you get two or three people commenting something, and it's like okay, maybe there's something here, but I don't know. It's just noise.
yeah, it's usually just like
But yeah,
don't take anything personally. Really, it's just take and see
yeah,
what you maybe can do with it. Otherwise, move on.
I've had two instances where I received like a meaningful amount of feedback that I was like, okay, clearly this is something that I like did wrong or could have done differently that I yeah. And then one of them was like I said in that Ultra Kill as a problem video. It was just like I was trying to just illustrate that people had been like dramatic about the like weapon texture changes. And I was talking about how like there had been like nasty tweets to Hikita and some of the other developers. But I was like finishing this video late at night and I swear I remember there being some like death threats and shit. But then
Jesus.
I'm like Twitter probably deleted those. And I was scrolling through the comments and I was like, yeah, some of these are annoying, but they're not as bad as I remembered. But I went and put I went and put just like some random tweets up on the screen instead, like thinking that probably most people wouldn't pause the video and be like, well, this guy wasn't like this
Threatening
guy's
him.
being a little dramatic, but he wasn't being
Yeah.
mean. Like, and I'm like, okay, so yeah, in hindsight, I was like, all right, I definitely sent the wrong message with that. Um, and yeah, the other time too was just on stream. I chewed out a backseater who wasn't really meaning to backseat, and people kind of were rubbed the wrong way by it. So that was another thing. I was like, all right, maybe I need to. I was like, I don't like backseating because I feel like it's hard for me to communicate this because like I've been like big time against like backseating, especially in Ultra Kill, because I think like my original experience with the game was very like I didn't read the wiki, I didn't like look anything up or whatever. I just had fun with the game and I really enjoyed it. And so I come from the perspective of being like backseating is bad and ruins like my experience. Um, but I think like I took that to like an extreme on my stream, and when there's just people like coming in to my chat like when a new update comes out like wanting to talk about the update, and I'm just like no, shut the fuck up, get
Let
out
me
of here.
figure this out
But I'm like
first.
okay, yeah, maybe that's a little too harsh though. So that was kind of the other instance. But yeah, that's like it's very tough though because like a lot of especially on ultra kill videos I just get like so many comments and like I've over the years I've tried to read and respond to them, less so recently because I had an unhealthy relationship with it to some degree. But I always tried to filter in what was actual feedback and what was, just like, actually, you could have rail coined him to save 0.5 seconds at this. It's just like, shut
Shut
up.
the fuck up. Yeah.
um,
No, that's entirely reasonable, and I think both perspectives of how both of us decided to handle the community are when combined together mostly make up like a whole way of looking at everything. Because on what like because on your on for your video you were like, I'm afraid of, or not really afraid, you were like, I'm not really going to shed a lot of crazy light on the positive things about the community because that would soften the blow of what I'm trying to be critical of when people are doing shit like this.
yeah.
And for me, it was like, if I post this video without talking about the backseaters, one, that would be disingenuous to myself because that's the biggest fucking issue I found when I was streaming the game for the first time. And two, people would just think I'm meat writing the game. And I'm like, no, I need to have something in here to put you clowns in your
like that
fucking
on
place.
my video.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Like I'm like, yeah, no, seriously. I actually like, because I started that video off. I mean, I did start it off on a positive note, but it was basically just talking about how the game has this like kind of outsized success for like how big of a game it is. Like it's kind of blown up to a degree that was probably unexpected by New Blood and Hikita, but that like Hikita's involvement with the game and with the community is part of the reason for why it's successful. And like literally just this week, I got a comment that was like, "Bro, the meat riding," and like timestamp that, and I was like, "What do you want me to do? Just not introduce the game at all?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's certain lingo that gets used by haters in comments that when I see it, I'm like, I'm not even going to validly acknowledge what you said because I can just tell. Like, I hate to say this, but it's like it really is like NPC type behavior where they see anybody saying anything good about anything, and they're like, "You're a meat writer," and it's like, I need you to get the hell off of YouTube and go touch some grass. Like, slow your roll.
This actually does. This actually does remind me of a video that I've wanted to make for a while, but I don't really know like how to word it or how to approach it. Which is like, and it's not even regarding ULTRAKILL. But I just somehow want to make a video on how it seems more and more common that people just have trouble enjoying anything without any strings attached. Like, because it's like I see the way people talk about ULTRAKILL and like, they watch my videos and their first thought is like, well, you didn't do this right. And it's like, okay, bozo, I was having fun. Like,
I'm enjoying the game, not trying to maximize
I think by my standards, I did it right. Like, I don't know. But it's just it's a different way of thinking about games that I am not used to. Like, I think it's a younger perspective, people who grew up playing like competitive online games and stuff.
Yeah.
Have come from this perspective of like, well, you need to be good at a game or at least engaging with it in like a meta way to like get the most enjoyment out of it. And I don't think that's true because I never did that when I was even with the multiplayer games I played, like one of my favorite multiplayer games of all time that kind of sparked me just enjoying FPS games and games in general was Halo 3. And I was like, I think back to when I played that and I'm like, I didn't play ranked or whatever equivalent of ranked they had in that game. I wasn't even playing like the team deathmatch. I was going in custom games and like putting warthogs in a blender with my friends. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, so it's just a very different perspective for me. But I for a long time wanted to try and make a video like appealing to people who think that way. Or there's always the like competitive arguers too, like the people who just like love a thing, but they can't just like the thing without like engaging in discourse about it.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, stuff like that. But I don't even know how to begin a video like that. But I really would like to someday find the words for that video.
Yeah, that whole concept is a very interesting thing to look at because it's always like, I don't know, because I have to imagine there's like some level of like, there's some personality disorder that is causing people to act like that. Because I've played a fair bit of competitive games, even in my like early teen years when I was very impressionable. Yeah. And even I don't.
We started off talking about Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, that's my most played game on Steam. I love it, but like, I hit a point with that game where I was like, how good do I care about being in this game? And I peaked at like gold or something rank, and I was like, that's good enough for me. Like, I
mean, honestly, like no matter, like I can play a competitive game a lot and still will never feel the urge to tell anybody how to play the game properly. because I know that there is an infinitesimal amount of people who are better at the game than I am. So I should shut my goddamn mouth and don't tell people how to play a game. No matter how good I think I am at it, no matter how cool I think I am when I do shit in Ultra Kill, no matter how good my PBs might be, no matter the fact that I was able to P rank P2 before any of my friends in the group, none of that will ever prove that I am good enough to tell people how to play the game. And so I don't care about how old these kids are and when they started playing competitive games. There is like some mental, I was about to say disability. That is entirely the wrong words. There's just, there is some kind
I get what
of,
you mean though.
Yeah, there's something there that is triggering you to think you need to do that, despite what I'm guessing is your skill level not being able to match up to it. So I don't get it, but I
have to wonder if it's a lot of like, if it's a lot of like kids who were still in school, like during the pandemic and stuff that like didn't have an outlet for like, you know, you couldn't like go like, I don't, this is like just a boomer example, but like you couldn't go outside and like play basketball with your friends. Like, I don't know if that's like the reason why there seems to be such a hard line with that. But yeah, I don't know. It's really fascinating to me as well. And I'm not, I would never attempt to like diagnose or even like get to the bottom of why that issue is a thing. But like, if I did make this theoretical video, just like explaining where I'm coming from and trying to understand the alternate perspective, I guess.
Yeah,
That's a tough task.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing to handle. I'm super interested in always talking about that kind of stuff. And so
yeah,
as cheesy as it sounds coming from myself, if that's ever something you would be interested in talking about, either in any form factor or whatever, I would be 100% down to have a discussion on that kind of thing, whether it helps you
listen,
or whatever.
This has been a lot of fun, and honestly, like I really need to go eat dinner, but like if you ever want to just have me back on to like talk about the random shit, either what was left on your list or you know, just whatever else, I really enjoy doing this kind of stuff. And you're actually, let me think about this. Is this true? I think you're the first person to ever like invite me on a podcast. I don't think I've ever like been asked to do this type of thing before. So honestly, that was a big reason why I was like, hell yeah. Like I love an excuse to yap for 2 hours. So
hell yeah.
I got no problem with that. I'm good at it. I'm a fluent in Japanese.
Yeah. Those are the kinds of people I need on my show. So I really do appreciate you coming on here. It has been very enjoyable. I do have a lot of questions, but this will be saved for another episode. There might even be a chance you could come on for a third. I hope we got through
at least a good. Yeah, seriously. I hope we got through at least a pretty good amount of it. I feel good at least about like what I was able to touch on, and like, you know, I don't know who is listening to this that has like maybe never heard of me before, because it sounds like you have a lot of Ultra Kill people on. But yeah, I mean, if someone is like has never heard of me before, like I feel at least pretty good about the introduction I gave, even though we kind of like got right into my like Rainbow Six Siege days, which is not really something I'm.
No, now you're gonna get like a flood of people on your Rainbow Six Siege videos. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, possibly. It tends to happen every now and then randomly if I like mention it offhand or something. But yeah.
But I mean,
it is what it is.
Yeah, honestly, with that said, I would say, where can people find those Rainbow Six Siege videos or anything else that you do? Oh my
god. Yeah. So the best place to find me for the most part would just be my main channel, which is just Dumpster Man. I got a little purple logo with a D and an M. I think there's a few other Dumpster Men out there, but at this point, I'm probably the top result when you search for that on YouTube.
Almost certainly.
And on Twitch, I'm Dumpster Man TTV because, as we already discussed, some bastard wanted to stream World of Warcraft like a decade ago. And otherwise, if people are interested, it's easy enough to find my other channels. So
cross connections, beautiful. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's probably gonna do it for the viewers at home. You can find me in the same vein. Don't look up Dumpster Man for him. Look up DJ Cereal Sauce for me. You'll find everything you're looking for. And whenever Dumpster Man comes back, we will be talking about Reaver and RoboQuest and guitars and a bunch of other fun shit.
Wow.
So stay tuned for that.
I'd love to talk about that.